Went and got the San Luis Valley District Attorney's book, Mr. District Attorney by Robert W. Ogburn. And I actually love this freaking cover. This cover is fantastic. The Case of the Money Machine. And then here's Mr. District Attorney, Mr. Super District Attorney Man. And what's he saying? I don't know. I have to read it. But he's setting a standard. He's basically saying he's got to prosecute everybody that's accused of a crime to the fullest extent of the law, but he's also here to protect our freedoms. Let me verbatim, let's see, exactly as heard on NBC April 11th, 1951. Is this a TV show that was on NBC Radio? It's a radio defender, champion of the people, defender of the truth. How old is Robert W. Ogburn? And it shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. So there you go. Robert W. Ogburn has just set down the Ogburn standard. I think that's a great standard for a DA. Look at the accusation. Any accusation, you probably should ask a couple questions. But okay, somebody has a legitimate accusation, and it's, backed with maybe a couple pieces of evidence. Maybe not, who knows, right? But a legitimate accusation to pursue that to the limit of the law, but to also defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. Because everybody should be, willing to go to court any, time or day at the drop of a hat. But just like the Delata case, if he is guilty, then he should serve, his time for life. But if he's not guilty, then he should be released immediately. And so the chief judge and the chief DA, they're like, you get on out of here, you. Traditionally, it was the duty of the district attorney. This is 10. I'm just going to make a couple comments. I think it's really important, actually, that he did this for continuity's sake. He pointed out that we had 4 DAs in the last 2 to 3 years. 4 fucking DAs in the last 2 to 3 years. 4 fucking DAs in the last 2 to 3 years. And I've talked to, 8 DAs? I've talked to 8 people from the DA's office in the few years that I've been here. To file a proper complaint against such person and to appear in the several counties of the district and prosecute the appropriate criminal proceedings on behalf of the state. I feel like, even though that's the traditional route of what the DA is, I don't want you just to be fucking rubber stamping any fucking thing that a cop fucking says and does. Now, that being said, there is something to be said about the system and about an eyewitness testimony. When you trust the person and the person says, I saw that person do the thing, and you trust the person, the judge trusts that cop, and that cop is saying, all that. That's saying eyewitness testimony is not just good, it's grand, it's great, it's almost perfect. You can't, it can never get messed up. So, let's see here. I'm glad that he wrote this book because there's continuity. We've had DAs since 1876, and they've all been Republicans. So even though the Democrats have run the SLV since 2009, apparently David L. Mahoney, you had Mahoney, for 8 years. He was the DA. Then Krista Neumeyer Olson was the DA for 3. Robert S. Willett was DA for 1. Alonzo Payne, DA for 1. And then Ann E. Kelly's been DA for, I guess, almost a year now. But that's Democrat, Republican. And today's Republican is different than, this is Abraham Lincoln's Republican, 1876, Columbus W. Burris from Silverton, Charles D. Hyatt, Moses Adams, George T. Sumner, Charles A. Johnson. They're all Republicans. Republican. In fact, you have motherfucking the first goddamn 14 Republicans. The first 14 DAs are Republicans. You had James Verkamp, a Democrat, then back to being a Republican, Woodard. Then a Democrat, Haney, then a Republican, Green, Republican, Rowe, Smith, Democrat, Robert W. Ogburn. So that son of a bit, that's why he's talking about the DAs. He was a DA for 3 years. He's from Monte Vista. 1970, that's like 53 fucking years ago. 53 years ago, he had to be at least 18, so he's 70, 80, 90 years old. This is a nice little book. I'm impressed with this book. Just was able to spit it out, and he's got all these other books here too. SLV district judges, SLV county judges, bar association, courthouses. I kind of want all these books. Pueblo's district attorneys, a lifetime of legal work, pioneer gentleman, development of San Luis Valley water, uncommon thief, justice served, justice denied, legal reflections, a memoir, Pueblo's last Republican district attorney. What's this shit about Republican, motherfucker? It's not about the political parties. Conservative and liberal have been debating forever. Liberals want to change things. Conservatives want to keep things the same. The 12th Judicial District is Conejos County, Costilla, Rio Grande, Saguache, Alamosa, Mineral County. And that's been that way since 1913. So for over 100 years. There's 22 judicial districts today. 12th, so Saguache, Mineral, Creed. Creed is the capital of Mineral. Creed. That's very western. Rio Grande. Del Norte is the capital of Rio Grande. Alamosa, Saguache. Saguache. Del Norte, Conejos. I told a guy that's supposed to know a bunch of history shit. Actually, the guy that I bought this book from. About Guadalupe, and he's like, what's Guadalupe like? Motherfucker, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's the damn church, motherfucker. You got Antonito, and then you got Conejos. Yeah, I guess that's what the post office would say. But it's Guadalupe. San Luis, Costilla County. So that's the 12th Judicial District. I liked a little comic here. He's got, this is the courthouse, aren't you coming in? All of a sudden, the world-famous attorney realized he was in over his head. So I don't know who published this book, but did he pay peanuts to publish this? This is, I think this is so funny and clever because it's like Sally is just this sweet, innocent girl. Hey, here's the courthouse. You want to come in? And the lawyer is like, oh my God, I am in over my head. She wins. Sorry, Your Honor. I thought I was going to sue Sally, but apparently, so 21 Republicans and 10 Democrats. 21 Republicans and 10 Democrats. And there's a couple stories here. I'm a little disappointed with this. I basically am satisfied with most of it. I like these charts, and they got the district attorney elections right here. And then, you know, I like the history of it. So there's a continuity. So we've had 4 fucking DAs in the last, 2 years. Who gives a shit? We've had motherfucking 30 fucking DAs throughout the years. So we've been doing it, right? Do it to it. We keep on keeping on. So there's some continuity. If people are like, oh my gosh, these are the end times. We've had one DA and then another DA and then another DA. I don't know how to operate. I mean, and frankly, I've had 0 DAs. I mean, I reached out to Robert S. Willett. He didn't give a shit. I reached out to Alonzo Payne. He didn't give a shit. I didn't really talk to Krista Olmeyer and E. Kelly. I reached out to her, too. So, we need a DA that gives a shit about victims' rights. That's kind of the whole damn system, is it? That's the point. You need a presence of justice in the community. There's that motherfucker that robbed the fucking store. That's a criminal. He went into the motherfucker, took the fucking money. The whole system needs to catch that motherfucker. What's the point of rules of evidence and the rules of procedure if the fucking criminals get to commit crimes? That's the system 101. Stop, for public, the cops, stop criminals from criminalizing. That's a criminal criminalizing. Stop that. That's an opportunity. Cop, that's what you're paid for. Be the hero. We'll give you all that money, all that power and prestige. Now go do your fucking job. Ask questions. Canvass the neighborhood. Do a sting. Do a stakeout. Find out who the fuck is robbing people like that. Jesus Christ, are they locals? Are they living here? Hopefully they're just passing on through, right? See, there are a lot of biographies here. I was going to kind of read some of the biographies, but Columbus Burris. He was born in Meade County, Kentucky. Okay. The first DA was born in Meade County, Kentucky. Is that Meade, named after the hero of Gettysburg, a Spaniard? Let's see here. Poughkeepsie, New York. The next one was born in New York. Charles D. Haught. Hyatt. Haught. Hayt. Let's see. I'll just read his. Robert W. Ogburn. 32, Monte Vista. He was appointed district attorney by Governor John A. Love. Oh, that's a nice name. Probably just got... I remember we voted for Michael Money in the 3rd grade. Michael Jackson was in the class, and maybe Zeb and Tim Fox too. I don't know. We all voted for Michael Money in the 3rd grade. Not because we knew Michael Money. We didn't. We didn't know who Michael Money was, and we ended up not ever finding out who. We did read Where the Red Fern Grows, though. But I feel like we only voted for him because he had a cool-ass last name. John Love, yes sirree, November 25th, 1969. Took office January 1st, 1970. Upon the resignation of John B. Smith, elected November 3rd, 1970 to complete the unexpired term, and so 3 years, right? Born December 2nd, 1937 in Detroit, Michigan. I knew it. You're not from around here, are you? He settled in Monte Vista, January 1966. Isn't that where all those gangs are? Del Norte, Monte Vista. Isn't that where the gangs are? Or that damn Psycho Burrows? January 66, after serving as a captain in the Judge Advocate General's Corps, U.S. Army, Fort Carson, Colorado. Very cool. For 3-4 years, he was admitted to the Colorado Bar. April 64, subsequently served district judge. Ooh, look at that. He was the man of the 12th Judicial District for 25, 28 fucking, for 30 years? I mean, he's a fucking sovereign. He's a legend. He's goddamn Stalin. Which, you know, in the earlier days of the history, you want to keep the country together. You want to keep the district, but this is a published out of Pueblo. Is he living in Pueblo? Are you SLV or not, Mr. fucking Detroit, Michigan man? In his spare time, he enjoyed flying his own airplane as a licensed, instrument-rated commercial pilot. Oh, look at you. He moved to Pueblo West. Yeah, Pueblo West is the anarchist, libertarian, wet dream. Pueblo is like where everybody has to live. Pueblo West is like the wealthy people saying, let's just form our own shit out here. In 2004, where he continued to serve as senior judge for the state of Colorado for another 10 years. Till 2013, and he also served as a mediator and arbitrator. Is there nothing more goddamn holier than a mediator and arbitrator? We need mediator and arbitrators. You know how important it is. When I think about like conflicts, a conflict could just be between two people. One person could go up to the other person and punch him, and then the other person says, that's not right. And the other one's like, yeah, you know, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. Well, okay, well, you need to mow my lawn for 3 days in a row. Okay, I'll do that. And then that settles the situation, right? Justice is eye for an eye. The conflict between them two is now settled. But if you call the police, then it'll be extended for the next fucking 2 goddamn years, and it's almost like the system is more of a wedge between people to make it more, you know, entrenched so people dig their heels in even more instead of being an arbitrator or a mediator. Imagine if we had no judges or cops and all we had were mediator and arbitrators. And then Hobbes says that you have to agree on the mediator and arbitrator. So that means you have to be a judge who people agrees is a good judge. He's a fair and even-handed judge. And then that's when you become a mediator and arbitrator. Other people think that you're a fair and even-handed judge. And so a couple people will agree on it, the ones that have a dispute. And then once they agree on it, then you're the mediator. Then you get to resolve that dispute as amicably as possible. Win, 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 win all across the board. But that's not the system. It's competition. One's got to win, one's got to lose. And it's... So there you go. It's a little... Robert W. Ogburn. I'm sure he's very impressive. I would love to actually meet the guy, talk to the guy. Published by Pueblo County Historical Society. Copyright 2023. It was $10. Any part of this booklet may be reproduced. No rights reserved. I like that. So basically because it's a government thing. And then because no rights are reserved, maybe that's why he's allowed to do. I like the information. This is good, important information. Here's a picture of the guy. He's Mr. Stone Cold Steve Austin here. Look at Mr. Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's probably 90 years old now, so I'm sure that's not a recent picture. But shit, motherfucker, still fucking typing up books and shit. He was a deputy DA for the 12th Judicial. He's been the judge thing. That was the biggest fucking thing for 30 years. I mean, he's fucking Mao Zedong. He's like 30 years. That's even George Washington only served for 8 years, but not Ogburn. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take the 70s and the 80s. And you know what? I'm going to take the goddamn 90s too. Okay, SLV? So really, whoever he is and what he's about. And I like these little cartoons, and I like that he's offering this information. He's offering us continuity. He's probably happy that, you know, because of the tumultuous reign of the Democrats for the last couple of years, he's probably happy to see a Republican get back in there. Now, I had one thing I thought, not even a criticism, but it's like, is this the reason? Look, I've been the judge here forever, and the DA's supposed to prosecute whatever the cops nab him, the DA slabs him, the DA and the judge slabs him. That's how it works around here. I'm Robert W. Ogburn. 30 years. He had one of his court cases, Lotskoff case. He made a decision, the Lotskoff case. But here's let me just read this paragraph. Ideally, based on the burgeoning criminal caseload, the present DA is in need of 9 deputy DAs. The local public defender's office has 9 deputy public defenders. I mean, it's only fair. They got 9 deputy public defenders. You deserve 9. And who are all the public defenders? They got 9? There's only one that goes to San Luis. Costilla County only has 1 public defender. And 12 non-attorney staff members, the Director of Administration and Diversion Services, a Financial Controller, a Victim Witness Coordinator, 2 victim advocates, an intake navigator, 3 legal assistants, a paralegal, a discovery clerk, and an investigator. I wonder if he wrote this whole book just to say, you know what, my boy, the 2 victim advocates, they need to keep their jobs. My 3 legal assistants and the paralegal, discovery clerk, intake navigator. You got to have an intake navigator. You got to have a financial controller. You got to have, what? A director of administrator and diversion services. No wonder all this bureaucratic fucking, goodness gracious. I hope that's not the reason he wrote this whole book. No, my intake navigator. We need to keep the intake navigator that I've recommended for you guys. The DA was paid $4,000 in 1891. The year the 12th Judicial District was created, 1891. 40 years ago. So the SLV's been a judicial district for 120, 30 years. So we've been doing this shit forever. 73 DA J. Otis Lewis got $24,000. What do they make now? $130,000 in 2012. God damn. $130,000. That's what Alonzo Payne walked away from. $130,000. He should have fought. Goodness gracious, he was the DA. Why wouldn't he take it to trial? Why wouldn't he fight? Why wouldn't he go do another election to save the taxpayer? The election would have happened anyways. That didn't save us any money. That makes no sense. But then when I think about, which decision do you disagree with? That one guy shot that other guy in the head, but he goes to jail for 14 years, right? So even though he probably didn't really pursue it, he goes to jail for 14 years. Hell, if you're a DA going the other direction, you probably should have got off. And then you also had that weird cult, but basically they just starved themselves and then she just died, right? So, what do you charge? They were weird and creepy. But if you re-adjudicate all the stuff that happened in Alonzo Payne's, he wasn't that freaking bad. I don't know each and every case. I think the animal cruelty case has really fucking got to me. So, what am I trying to say here? I don't know. It's a good little book. You should go out and buy it. It's $9.99. It's $10. $10. He wants us talking about it. He wants us constantly searching for that elusive something called substantial justice. Okay, so let's get some substantial justice, huh? Is that some hardcore, strong, substantial? I think restorative justice. I mean, that's substantial justice, so that's just strong justice, substantial. The preamble says we need to establish justice. Ba famgu. Thank you, Robert W. Ogburn, for the book.